There are many things that make Tesla the best in class, but among those, one of the biggest one is return on invested capital. In other words, Tesla makes more money for each dollar that they invest in plants, equipment, staffing, R&D, etc., than almost anybody but Apple. And they're probably going to pass Apple once FSD is solved, and then leave Apple in the dust once robo-taxis become a thing. This same kind of concept is true for the US economy as a whole compared to any other economy you want to name. That is why Elon came to the US in the first place to begin his career, is because of our freedom here and because we can do things that nobody else can do because of our economy. So why isn't ROIC's cousin, the productivity index, the most important stat on everyone's mind for tomorrow? We'll look at that and other aspects of tomorrow's market and Tesla and everything else in just a few minutes. This is Randy Kirk. If you like this kind of content, this is our Wednesday night show where we kind of take a look at what's going on in the middle of the week and kind of take a look on what's going to happen the rest of the week and all that kind of stuff. So hit like if you like that show, and then hit subscribe and notify. Definitely got some cool stuff coming up the rest of this week. And then, of course, if you join Patreon right now, you get a free audio book. Just look down in the information below in the description, and you can find the link, and you just link in, get a free audio book worth $15 to $25. All right. So today, Fitch crushed the market. Fitch, of course, is the reporting of an agency like the S&P that decides how to rate companies and countries with regard to their credit rating. And they decided that the US government should be downgraded. They decided that should happen. Janet Yellen came out yelling and saying, no way, just not true, stupid, doesn't make a bit of sense. Jamie Dimon came out. He says, look, it's unwarranted and it won't matter. But what did Fitch say, actually? They said, well, there's a steady deterioration that we've seen in the key metrics for the United States for a number of years. In 2007, general government debt was less than 60%, and now it's 113%. So that's 100%. That's 113% of GDP. So there's been a clear deterioration. Now, people judge that in different ways. I don't think it's over 100% yet, but that's how they're judging it. So Richard Francis, Fitch's co-head of the America's Sovereigns Rating, said Wednesday, furthermore, we're expecting physical deficits to rise over the next 3 years, and we expect debt to continue to rise over the next 3 years. So, as I said this morning, not only do we have the debt going up dramatically, and part of that is due to these massive bills that were passed last year that Elon Musk said, don't do the IRA. Don't do the Infrastructure Act. He says, we don't need them. The market will take care of this. We don't need these discounts. We don't need these methods. Now, I've said several times, a smaller bill, a different kind of bill might have been a great idea, because look what it's doing in terms of bringing manufacturing to the U.S. Well, that's good, but the numbers are just way too big, and they're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is going to be a problem that future presidents are going to be dealing with. Huge mistake, probably needs to be corrected now. It won't be. All right. So what matters is whether or not people believe what Fitch has said. It doesn't matter that they did it. It matters whether now S&P did this in 2011. It mattered, but it didn't matter much. I think we're going to get in that same situation again here. Based on everybody that I'm reading, Fitch saying it doesn't make it so. So where are sovereign nations going to continue to go to get put their money in a secure place? Oh yeah, it's still going to be U.S. Treasuries. where are people? What denomination are people going to do business in? Oh yeah, it's still going to be the dollar. I don't think this is going to have a huge upset, but in the short term, it did really cream the market today. It really creamed everybody today. Everybody was down, and of course Tesla was down as well. You'll notice that while Tesla dipped below 255, it closed at 255. I am still on a roll. My 255 number has held, and we'll see. Hopefully it continues to hold, and then we go up from here. All right. Biggest news for tomorrow apparently is not the productivity numbers, but rather it is Apple. Their sales are expected to drop 1.8. Their earnings are expected to be down 1 cent. But of course, as usual, a beat on that would be good. A miss, of course, would not be good. Most analysts right now seem to be expecting a beat, and you see people changing their expected price points on Apple. Apple being the largest company in the world, obviously it matters what happens tomorrow. So we'll be watching that carefully. All right, now the number that everybody should be paying attention to tomorrow is productivity. I know that I've talked about this in a full video. I did an entire video on this, and I've talked about it once or twice since. It bears repeating. Here's the key. Productivity is what creates wealth, and it's what drives inflation down in a good way. You can have deflation if it's based on productivity. This is a statement that Cathie Wood repeats ad infinitum, and it's so obviously true. All right, I just bought a new television because our old television gave up. It was like an 85-inch television or something like that, a smart TV. What did it cost me? Under $1,000 for a good brand, for one that was well rated at Costco, under $1,000. What would that TV have cost me 5 years ago? $7,000. All right. So productivity, making things in volume, making things better and cheaper, like Tesla does all the time. Tesla is the face of productivity improvements, creating wealth. So productivity for a country does the same thing, and the US is the best at it. So what are we going to be looking at tomorrow? We're going to be looking at the first month where we're seeing the benefits in productivity for being out of the COVID craziness. During the last 3 years, we've seen absolute everything working against productivity. That would be supply shortages, transportation log jams, employees and consumers stuck at home, everyone with no cash and no way to spend it, huge shortfalls in labor, with companies having tremendous demand on their production and services. So all of that is now reversing because everything is now normative. As things become normative, companies will go back to concentrating on how can we become more productive. They will become more productive just by the fact that they're not having to spend so much time finding labor, finding ways to change the way that we're going to ship something, finding new ways to get chips, all the kinds of things you've heard about that were causing issues. So I would expect the productivity numbers to be stronger tomorrow. That's what the street's expecting. And it should cause the market to recover all the losses of today. Should is a big word. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's what should happen. It probably won't happen, but that's what should happen. Anyway, just keep in mind that equation. Productivity equals wealth, and productivity also equals no inflation or deflation. All right, so factory orders will be out tomorrow. That's another thing we'll be looking at. Hopefully those are starting to go up, but nobody's expecting that. And then Friday, we have the payroll numbers and the wage info. I suspect that the Friday payroll numbers, that there will be more non-farm people put to work than we're expecting. It will not be as big a problem as the ADP numbers, just like it was last week, but who knows? You never know until they're out. But the big one is going to be watching for the wage increases. All right. What we're looking for here from the Fed standpoint is under 3% year over year, or close. I would say if it comes at 3.5 year over year, that'd be great. And under 0.25 month over month, which is a 3% run rate. That's what you're looking for on Friday for that. So Tesla crushed one headline. I'm sorry, read much? Tesla has been crushed, according to some sources, by that one headline that is talking about what happened with their steering problems. I want to go over this really quickly again. 12 people experienced steering problems. That's bad. 12 people turned in this information about cars from several years ago. 12 people. NISTA has no choice at some point but to investigate. The first question is dealing with those 12 people. Since Tesla, everything is electronic, everything is recorded. The next step after that, if they decide there's any problem at all, is to ask Tesla, please provide us information specifically on these 12 people and any other information you have about steering problems that might look like what we're seeing. Then if they see that there might be a problem, the next step is to say, Tesla, what have you done about it? And Tesla can say, we've solved this a long time ago, that those things will never happen again. We've already done it. Here's our proof. Here's the readouts. You can test it yourself. And they might decide to open a case at that point. Then if they open a case, Are you getting my drift? This is months and months and months before anything is going to come out of this, other than maybe Tesla saying, no, we know about these 12 cases. Yes, we had a problem. We've solved it with over-the-air update, or we haven't, et cetera, et cetera. The problem as it is right now was an excuse. I'm going to talk about this again. I talked about it this morning. I talked about it yesterday, but this is the afternoon show. So please let me say it one more time. What happened yesterday, what happened today is risk on behavior. Look at the VIX. Look at the risk index. It's really high. What's happened? Everybody has either made their money back or they're actually in profits. And now they're saying, I'm wanting to take something off the table. Give me an excuse. I don't want to miss. FOMO's in action too. I don't want to miss the second leg of the bull, but I also don't want to lose these gains that I just got. So you've got this mentality. Maybe you're suffering from it. I'm suffering from it, but I took nothing off the table. I've thought about it, but I took nothing off the table. Everything's still on the table. And the reason for that is because the fundamentals are unbelievable right now for Tesla and for the economy. This economy is on fire, and inflation, I looked at Trueflation today. It's at 2.23 and going back down again. So we're in a Goldilocks situation. It is time to be celebrating. It looks like the good times are rolling. I gave you a couple of examples this morning of Fed presidents that are saying they're against an increase, or probably going to be against an increase in September. There's not going to be an increase in September. There's not going to be a recession. There is going to be a very strong economy the rest of this year, maybe not the 3.9 I reported this morning as a result of some information, I think, from the Chicago Fed anyway, but maybe it'll continue to be around 2%, which would be fine. And inflation continuing down, that's good for the market. That is good for Tesla. Tesla and the market will recover. And I think this is not going to be time for the rotation. This is not going to be the time for the drop, the big profit taking moment where maybe we have a 10 or 20% profit taking situation in the bull. So right now, my expectations are still heading towards 300. Might take more than 2 weeks, but I think we could be there by next Friday. Maybe it'll be into the next week, but that's where I am right now. Any questions? Do you have questions? Please hit your questions. Please hit your comments. Let me know what you're thinking about. You're going to want to hit, for sure, hit notify. Good stuff coming up. I can't even remember what it is right now because I'm such a frazzle of a couple of days. That's another story. You don't want to hear about it. Go on to my Patreon. That's in the description below. Hit the link. It's free right now, 7 days free. And then you get a free book as well if you join right now. And then, that's it. I think I've covered it. That's all I got for you. It's been great talking to you.